Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Shadoe at Night. This is Monday, April 29th, 2024. On the show tonight, we have a very special guest. Her name is Christine Ronsere. She's been on the show before. She is a former school trustee in the Prairie Spirit School Division in southern Manitoba. And she's going to talk about what is going on in schools with the trustees and the provincial government. In the next few minutes, she's going to come on and tell us all of the developments that have been going on down there. There have been some fights with parents between school trustees, public officials, bureaucrats, all in an effort to get these pornographic books really out of schools and public libraries. So Christine has got all of that information coming up. We also have a story about a school principal in Calgary who was arrested couple of weeks ago, and the news only came out today, on child pornography charges. This is a school principal. This is a man that parents were trusting their kids with. Now, we don't know exactly how they found out he had this material. We do know it happened through the RCMP Child Endangerment Task Force, but we don't know how they got the information. So I'm going to read you that story in just a couple of minutes. The show is brought to you by Canada Nano Silver, CanadaNanoSilver.ca. If you have a weak immune system, we'll tell you more in just a second. If you have a burn or some kind of a scrape or cut, Armor Gel from Silverceutical Technology is a triple threat that uses the strength of patented silver technology to effectively kill bacteria, fungus, and yeast. And if you have a weak immune system, you can keep your body strong and help your wellness goals with Silver Biotics Trace Element Silver Supplement Lozenges. If you have dry or damaged skin without any harsh chemicals, we've got the lotions for you. Or anything artificial, the silver technology in the silver lotions works incredibly well. If you have bad breath and bleeding gums, I shouldn't laugh. It is a condition. There's the toothpaste and the tooth gel made without the use of harsh chemicals, the Silver Oral Care toothpaste. It comes in 3 different flavors. It comes in cinnamon, spearmint, and bubbleberry for the kids. They're going to want to brush their teeth, I swear to God, 12 times a day. All of these awesome products and more, and right now, free shipping with a product order of over $250 or more at CanadaNanoSilver.ca. That, again, is CanadaNanoSilver.ca, like it says right on the screen there. And if you want to be a retailer of these awesome products, or if you want to get a hold of Kevin and Anna and become a retailer yourself, contact Kevin and Anna right there on the contact tab, and the retail locations scattered through Canada are listed on the website right here. So go check it out, CanadaNanoSilver.ca. Before we begin the show tonight, as is our custom, we're going to go and say some hellos. Vicky is watching tonight in Nova Scotia on Facebook, it looks like. By the way, guys, we are broadcasting on 7 different platforms tonight. 7 different. And one more thing. If you missed last night's show with Ron Smith, that's the guy's name. Like, when he told me his name, this former Canadian Armed Forces intelligence operator who wrote that incredible letter that I posted on my Facebook page last week, he said, "Yeah, my name's Ron Smith." I went, "Ron Smith?" I was expecting something more exotic, like in the movies, for some strange reason. But Ron came on, and we had a 2-hour conversation on the All Access section of the website last night. It's fantastic, some of the things that we discussed and some of the insight he gave us as to how the military has been co-opted, as have all of the other institutions in this country. So go and sign up, become an All Access member at ShadowDavis.com. If you already are, you're going to catch the extension after 9 o'clock Central tonight. Anyway, 7 platforms tonight, including Facebook, Twitch, X, the website, of course, ShadowDavis.com, Telegram, Rumble, and YouTube, because I thought, what the heck? I've got 2 strikes. If I get 3, I'm out and I'm gone from YouTube, and I don't really care. Michael is watching tonight on Facebook from Brampton. Hello, John. Watching tonight from Swan River. Patricia's in Grimsby, Ontario. Hello, Lorraine in Newfoundland. Chris is watching in northern New York. Hello, Rhonda in Labrador City. Mireille is watching in Lacombe. Chris, hello, how you doing? Danita is watching from Okotoks, Alberta. Barbara is watching in Glenora. JJ is watching in Waterton Park, Alberta. And Derek is watching in Kamloops, British Columbia. I have some BC news for you tonight, Derek. It's very important that you pay attention to this BC news because the polls there are tightening and the NDP government there is starting to walk back some of their more Marxist policies regarding drug use in the province. Like, go ahead, shoot up anywhere. We don't care. Well, they see the noose tightening around their necks in the polls, and they're starting to pull back on some of these ridiculous policies because they haven't really got a choice. And that's you guys in British Columbia putting the pressure on them. Hello to all the X viewers tonight and on Facebook. Don't forget to like and share. Let's get this out to as many people as we possibly can. On Rumble, Jennifer Jupiter is watching tonight. North Scotty is saying hello to Kriv, Nuts, and Vilma. Esky Dogs is watching tonight. Everybody's saying hello to everybody else on Rumble. Hello, Midnight Oil. Braveheart, Vilma, Crivier, Mama Lee, Blood Clot is watching in Carmen, Manitoba. Blood Clot? What? Don't forget to thumb it up on Rumble. Please, you guys. Let's get it out there to as many to as many people as we possibly can. That's how you do it. You thumb it up, and if you want to share, you go ahead and hit the share button beneath the screen. That will highlight the URL above the screen. From there, you can copy and paste it into your favorite social media or an email or a group. Let's get it out there to as many people as we possibly can. All right, let's begin the show tonight with this story that comes from the Calgary Herald. Hang on, let me change backgrounds here because I want to get... There we go. That's better. All right. Calgary elementary school principal faces child porn charges. Bruce Campbell, 61 years old, charged on April 16th by officers with the Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team. Now, here's a picture of Bruce, the former high school principal. There he is there. Apparently, he was much loved, beloved, respected. You never know who's lurking behind those crazy doors. So the story goes, the Calgary elementary school principal has been charged with possessing and accessing child porn, say authorities. Bruce Campbell, 61, charged April 16th by officers with the Alberta Law Enforcement Response Team. He was employed as the principal at Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart Elementary School in Calgary's Sonalta neighborhood. Currently, we believe these offenses are solely related to online activities, but can appreciate how parents and students would be shocked and concerned about these charges, said Staff Sergeant Mark Auger of Alert's Internet and Child Exploitation Unit. Police allege Campbell uploaded child sex abuse materials via the online communication service Skype. They began investigating when the RCMP's National Child Exploitation Unit informed Alert of his alleged activities in January of this year. I don't know how they found out. You see, this is what I'm wondering. Does somebody who knows Bruce spill the beans? Investigators searched the principal's home, seizing a number of phones and computers. Police analysis of those devices found child porn on Campbell's work-issued cell phone, according to Alert. The agency says the charges are related solely to the uploaded photo, and further forensic examination of Campbell's devices is ongoing. Well, where there's one photo, you can bet there's more. That's only me speculating. I'm not saying that for certain. Well, the investigation and charges are related to online offenses, the nature, blah, 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 blah. We already said that. The Calgary Catholic School District said it was shocked and saddened by news of the charges against Campbell. The principal is no longer employed at our district. We take these allegations very seriously and are fully cooperating with Alert in their investigation, the district said in a written statement. The safety of our students and staff is top priority. District counselors are available as always to support students. Our thoughts and prayers are with anyone who has been impacted. Alert urges anyone with information on the case to contact their local police or Crime Stoppers, 1-800-222-TIPS. In 2023, Campbell received a Queen's Platinum Jubilee Medal, an award bestowed by the province that recognizes the significant contributions of Albertans. Campbell was released from custody on a number of conditions and is due back in court on May 10th. He's out. We don't know exactly if he has done anything else. You would think he was probably going to, but that would be a thought crime. So I can't go there. But generally speaking, these people operate in escalation. And this could have been step one of a much uglier thing that was going to happen, but we don't know that for sure. And the reason I know that is I watch a lot of movies, but I also read a lot of books and watch a lot of documentaries on this stuff. Now, staying with the education, from TNC.news, the Ontario education minister, who last year promised a back-to-basics education, is taking a back seat to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Less than a year after Ontario's education minister called on school boards to return to back-to-basics learning, the Toronto District School Board has released a new 4-year plan that places wokeness, anti-black racism, and truth and reconciliation at the forefront. In fact, the tone-deaf multi-year strategic plan doesn't just emphasize that equity again, and for those of you that don't know the difference between equity and equality is, we'll tell you in just a couple of seconds. They don't just emphasize the equity. That's the foundation of the board's work. That is their goal, ultimately. Everything else they do is swamped in equity. It states flat out that a Toronto District School Board policy paper embedded in the plan is that the board's version of equity ensures equality of opportunities and outcomes for all students. Now, equality means equal opportunity. Equity means equal opportunity and outcome. In other words, if you suck at something, you still get a gold medal. You still pass. Based upon your religion, your sexual preference, how you identify gender-wise, the color of your skin. If you are a minority, a visible minority in any way, and you suck at something, you're not good at it, and you wouldn't have passed, even if you were white, it doesn't matter. You belong. That is what they call inclusion. Equity ensures equality of opportunities and outcomes for all by responding fair and proportionality to the needs of individuals, the equity policy states. Equity, they even say, equity is not the same as equal treatment because it recognizes a social cultural power imbalance that unfair privilege to some while oppressing others and therefore focuses on redressing disparity. So this is their goal. This is critical race theory. This is them going back 200 years and trying to make people slaves again, trying to bring discrimination back again. I thought we had done a good job of just getting rid of that by simply not talking about it. 10 years ago, did you ever hear anybody really talking about this? No, of course you didn't. But now, it's in the doctrine of our public schools, at least in Ontario. We know it's happening in Manitoba. They tried to make it happen in Saskatchewan and definitely going on in BC. They're fighting against it in Alberta. In Quebec, it's fully entrenched. I don't know about the Maritimes. I do know that New Brunswick is fighting back against this as well. Now, this story comes from Steinbach Online, and right after this story, we're going to bring Christine on. So, Christine, I know you're watching. Be ready. Education Minister of Manitoba responds to concerns from parent group about the school board in Hanover. So, Manitoba's Education Minister is meeting this week with the Hanover School Board to discuss concerns raised by a local parent group. Nello Altamore. I used to go to school with him. Anyway, he is the Minister of Education, and he said during a press conference this afternoon, "We just want to ensure that we have all the information we need moving forward to keep kids safe in schools and to ensure that they're following through on their responsibilities as trustees." The Hanover Parent Alliance for Diversity sent a letter on Thursday last week to the Education Minister claiming that 6 trustees on the Hanover School Board have violated provisions of the Public Schools Act and are calling for these trustees to be disqualified from holding office. I don't know that there's a mechanism to do that in Manitoba. Altamore notes his office has received a number of letters regarding this specific complaint against the Hanover School Board. He doesn't say how many. He would not speculate whether there is any reason to dismiss any of these trustees, saying, "I want to meet with the board first." Now, this is kind of an ominous thing. I want to meet with the board first and then decide how we're going to act later. We need to gather some information here. We want to allow the board to come here, meet with me, outline what they're doing to ensure that they're keeping all the students safe in their schools, and then we'll move from there. What does that even mean? Move where? What if you find, Nello, that the school trustees are not, in your opinion, acting in all of the students' best interest? What then? Under Section 39.6, Paragraph 1 of the Public Schools Act, a trustee will be disqualified from holding office if the trustee is found in violation of any provision of the Public Schools Act. One concern raised by the parent group was a motion recently approved by the Hanover School Board that all music and gym teachers be hired the same way the vice principals are hired. That was carried 5-4. It means the school trustees will now hire all teachers for music and physical education in all 19 schools in the Hanover School Division. I do want to hear what the board has to say about that. Okay, whatever. I mean, that seems like not one of the issues we're fighting against. But anyway, there is a petition. You can find it on change.org, and we'll get to that in just a second. Here is Christine Ronsoret. Christine is a former school trustee in the Prairie Spirit School Division of Manitoba. Christine, thank you for coming on tonight. Exactly what is going on down there? Like, what do you know is happening down there? We're going to get into the broader discussion in just a second.
You know what, Shadoe? Thank you very much for having me on tonight. I just don't want you to think that I'm an expert at any of this stuff. I'm only
Christine, you know, before you even start talking about not being an expert, you're a woman who thinks texting me at midnight on a Saturday to talk about this stuff is cool.
Well,
all right.
Cool, right? So you thought it was cool. I know you.
So I know that you are very well versed in all of this, and I know that you have a lot to say about what's going on in Hanover right now. So go ahead.
Right, and it's all. But I want you to know it's all opinion based on what I've known with the experience. So, what's happening in Hanover? So Hanover, we've been wanting people from who actually represent us to stand up, and that's what they did in Hanover. There was people who stood up to do the right thing. And people voted them in. And so when you have that, you have a local voice, local choice. That's something that Manitoba is really proud of.
Now, we're talking about the school trustees who were voted in based upon keeping this DEI nonsense out of the schools. Am I right?
That's what I would say. However, if anybody is voted in place, that is how democracy works. So in those regions, if they're as woke as can be, or if they're as right-winged or as conservative or whatever, they were voted in place. That means that the people voted them there. That's how elections work. So to say that we're going to have a minister come in and swoop in and get rid of somebody who was elected in to represent us, and that's tyranny.
Well, they say that they can disqualify school trustees if they don't act in the best interest, if they don't follow the code of conduct, and that is what happened with Francine Champagne in the Louis Riel School Division. Am I correct?
No, you know what
happened? I mean, you've got experience with this because you were censured I don't know how many times for speaking out.
Yeah, you bet. So, as an elected official, you cannot be, unless the rules suddenly change, but I cannot be kicked out as an elected official. I can be sanctioned to the moon, but I cannot be kicked out. The only way we can get out elected officials is to stand up, vote for someone else to come in. So if we have a minister who comes in and dictates them out without any proof of violation of the code or of the act, if we have zero proof that they violated the act, he has no business to be there. So maybe that's what I'm going to be very kind and let him hear that, yes, we might have business there, but there better be proof. And until then, those elected officials belong there because we, the people, voted them in, right? And not me, that's not my jurisdiction, but everybody from Hanover School Division, they're, you know that you voted them in.
Yeah,
right?
Let me ask you, this diversity group of parents, do you have any idea who they are, how many of them there are, how strong a voice they actually have? Because to me, this sounds contrived, and I think I know where it's coming from, but I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't know the numbers. But I can feel that out. And the people who voted those wonderful trustees in, all of them, they're all wonderful. They all stood up. It really doesn't matter. The strength of numbers will show the direction there. Do I know how that side can be really, really loud? They say that we're loud. We're not loud for our numbers. We are.
Yeah,
Our volume's not there. Their size isn't there.
This is the thing that I want to stress to people more than anything. No matter where you are, what city or town you live in, what you see online is not reality, right? Because they've got so many controlled bots. They've got so many controlled influencers, they call them, on social media. It makes it, and all of these social media influencers are probably working 20 different accounts on 10 different social media networks. And it's all one person. And they're all putting out the same stuff. And that's the same kind of thing that happens when it comes to school boards, no matter where they are, right? We're a diverse group of parents who want equity for our children. Okay, who are you? Like,
exactly. And they don't even put their name in here, which is absolutely another thing that just really bothers me, because actually in Manitoba, when there's a complaint, unless that's changed too, but in Manitoba, you have the right to know your accused. Unless they're underage, you have the right to know who they are. So they say they're anonymous. They say, right?
But that's for their own protection, though, they say.
Right. And that's fine, but you still have the right to know who's accusing you. And you also have due process. So due process would be, if you have a complaint against the school board, go through the channels. The board did not know that this was happening, I'm sure. I don't know. I don't know that board. However, I would assume that they have no clue until we found out by media. Now, media, just like every other media, that's not independent media, such as yourself, that's all bought. Like, if you look, I believe their side of it is being pushed on Steinbach Online, from my understanding.
Yep. Yep.
Like that's insane to think that the media organization is pushing one view is just, well, I guess that's where we're at, right? CTV. That's where we're at.
That's where we've been at for a while now. That's why shows like mine exist. I want to throw this up. This is support for Hanover School Division's elected trustees. Now, this is a petition that you can find, you guys watching this right now, on change.org. And look at all of the signatures. How long, Christine, has this petition been up? Do you know?
I think it was like the
26th. Oh, wow. So it's like 3 days, I guess. So the day after these group of crackpot parents, you know what? I don't even think they're parents. My opinion of this is I think they're government operatives. That's what I think. That's why they're staying anonymous. I don't think that they're real at all.
To think that they have power through a minister without the minister behind this.
Well, this also, all right, like, so Nello, who I have to say I went to school with, and whatever, but, so Nello Altimore, the education minister in Manitoba, gets to look like, well, we're going to look into this. Like, it's not like the government, are targeting any of these people, any of these trustees, because all they're doing is investigating something that was, put to them by a group of concerned diversity parents who remain nameless. I don't think there is a group. I think that this is just the province, now controlled by this woke, left-wing, Marxist, Wabcanoe government, trying to get rid of anybody who has been elected in any jurisdiction across this province who remotely thinks common sense and slightly right-wing any longer. That's what I think.
You know what's so funny is that this Nello, is that his name? The minister. The minister Nello knows the books that are in the schools. That is a fact. I know that because he has seen what the books look like. That is sent out to every MLA in the province. Okay, so let's just see that. So that there's facts behind that. And do we hear a screech on anything from him? Nothing about these books at all. Here, there's somebody who sends in a complaint, which is no different than me sending that MLA or all the MLAs about the boards or about the books.
He said we received numerous letters, and they don't say how many. They don't say, like, oh, was there 10, 3? Like, how many?
You should have some facts, right? There's zero facts. There's zero evidence. And here he's going to personally go to this. I mean, they are kind of under his jurisdiction. They're underneath a different act, but he is the minister.
Have you figured out how this works? Like the whole thing, because I know that you've been going up and down the chain about these books in the public libraries. I know Raylan Fox has been trying to figure this out too, and she has been speaking at public gatherings, public meetings, not town hall meetings, but actually going and speaking to board members about these ridiculous books that she's done so much research on, and the videos are available on her Facebook, and I'm not sure if they're on any other social media. But have you figured out who is actually running this show yet?
Well, it
This
depends on what
DEI nightmare?
Oh yeah, it depends on what part of the show. So everybody has a role to play. I mean, and everybody kicks that can. However, the can keeps landing on the laps of the trustees. Now, is it really their fault? No. Is it their problem? Yes. But it's actually every level's problem. And now this is different than what we're talking about, what's happening in Hanover. Like when we're talking about these books, everybody has a role to play, right? But I don't know if that's where you want to go. Like the
Yeah. I mean, like we already covered what's going on in Hanover, and by the way, you guys watching this, I've dropped the clip, the link for the petition, change.org petition, in the comments of both Facebook and Rumble. So if you want to sign it, please go ahead. But I kind of want to move towards this because I know that you've been really working hard with a few other folks down there to try and get some answers.
Yeah, some answers, or just people to do something. Everybody's given authority in one way or another, and nobody's taking that authority. They just keep pushing that envelope to somebody else. Not my deal, not my deal. So when I talk to MPs, they have the job to enforce the Criminal Code of Canada. MPs, right? The ministers of Parliament, that's their level. Feds are in charge of the Criminal Code. They are also in charge of, like, Bill S210 is coming in. Bill S210 is trying to get internet porn less accessible to children. Well, what's crazy about that is that internet porn less accessible to children. We actually have books in our libraries, in our schools, that we're feeding to children. Why don't you start there? So feds know. They also would be in charge of the rules of publishing in Canada, and these books shouldn't even be published. Then you go down to the ministers of the members of Parliament, so our provincial levels. And they have the job to do. They are in charge of the libraries. They're in charge of the schools. They're in charge of, like, the Minister of Education, right? They have the Minister of Culture and Heritage. That's in charge of the Libraries Act. Like, so there's levels that everybody can say, no, we want our policies to align with the Criminal Code of Canada, which would mean that these people should not be sending pornography to our kids. Is this a book ban? No, this is not a book ban. We want policies that wouldn't allow these books to get into the hands of children.
Well, this is the same as the movie rating system. You've got general, all audiences, you've got adult content, and so on, right? I mean, and so, the other side, you're a book burner, you're going back to 1960, that's what you're doing. And that's just completely bunk.
Well, out of all the billions of books that are out there, why are you choosing, why schools, why are divisions choosing these books?
Well, right. So this is my question then. I mean, I know that you guys have been investigating, and you mentioned the Minister of Culture and Heritage and the Minister of Education. These people, they know these books are in schools, and so you go down the chain, right? Then you go down to the school superintendents, you go down to the school trustees, but it's the bureaucrats. So have you been able to pinpoint any particular people or person who is making these decisions? Or are they all saying, it's not me?
Everybody's passing that buck. Nobody wants to say it, and everybody throws in back to that DEI or DIE, whatever you want to say, the diversity, equity, and inclusion garbage. Yeah. Everybody folds back to that. Like, I got a response from the Prairie, Ray Lynn got a response from the Prairie Rose School Division back in August, and they fall back on the diversity, equity, and inclusion. My area here is Prairie Spirit School Division, and they, of course, said that some people need these books because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. In my opinion, I would like them to actually say to me, here's the pictures, we need these kids, whatever group of kids, whatever students they're talking about, they need to see this because they actually, I mean, you've seen how gross those pictures are.
Raylan actually went and read passages from one of these books to the board members, or maybe it was town councilors. I don't know exactly who was in that meeting.
It was trustees, yeah.
Okay, so she read the words.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's hard to read those words.
Yeah. Like you read them, and you go, oh my God, like what am I even reading here? She read these books and she said she's got hundreds of them flagged. She's been doing research on this. And I guess we're going to bring her on the show at some point in the next couple of weeks. We were talking.
You have to do that. So,
yeah, we were talking a couple of weeks ago. But anyway, she actually read these books to these people, and they were looking at their shoes. They looked very uncomfortable in that meeting. But they choose to do nothing. Should they not be outraged? This is what I've been telling you, Christine, for a long time now, right? And I'm happy you're on tonight. We're talking to thousands of people across the country. We need action from people. You can't do everything yourself. You and Raylyn and Jen. I mean, I know it's not about being a hero. It's about standing up and doing what's right. It's not about, you know. So
and all it has to be, you don't have to go and stand in front of the trustees if you don't want to. Write a letter, even if it's a group of you who write the same letter and you all sign it, or send it all individually with your, like, it really doesn't, it doesn't have to be a lot of work, and all of the groundwork is done for you. We've done it all already. However, they will see me, they will see Raylyn as the troublemakers who just, we've already told you the answer.
That's right, because if we have, 4 or 5 people who are tip of the spear and they're recognized faces, it's like cops trying to be undercover, but their faces are already known to the criminals. So they just go the other way and they stop doing what they're doing if they see you coming. But if it's everybody, right? And this has been the problem with pretty much everything for the past 40 years. We all know about it, but nobody's saying nothing.
Yeah, they're waiting. I don't know if that's what it is, or if people are waiting for somebody to do something about it. And we're waiting for a reaction from more people to stand up. And I don't want to tell you guys what to do, but I'm going to. You're going to have to start standing up because it can't just be the few of us. We just need more. And like I said, it's not difficult. Write your MLAs, write your council members. This shouldn't be available. And these poor trustees, go and help them out. I love what Hanover's doing with this petition. If these trustees are in a situation right now, and like I say, it's ludicrous to think that somebody anonymous is doing this to them, and they're not going through process, right? There would be a process of if the board did something wrong, people can come in and make a complaint and make these people aware, right? Make the board aware, but they didn't make the board aware. And to see this minister coming in and actually having a meeting based on no fact, no
one side of the story. That's all he's got. One side of the story.
And it's never the other side. So to everybody who's watching with you, Shadoe, should be like, get your popcorn ready, because once this movie's done, if the minister shows up and actually puts his foot down, everybody needs to stand and say, that is tyranny. You have no right to push out an elected official. You can sanction them, I suppose. He can't sanction them. The board has to sanction them. The rest of the board and the majority there is all on the same page. I mean, they're
well, it sounds like 5 out of the 9 are anyway. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, and I mean, for little things to be, I don't know what's happening there. From my experience on the board, I would say there's got to be maybe a trustee or something seems shady. Somebody seems to be letting people know, because the average parent wouldn't know the stuff in order to maneuver around. So of
course not, because they're all organized. They're all organized on that side. They get together, they make a plan, and they all remain anonymous, and then they execute the plan. And they've got the plan. They go read Karl Marx and the Takeover. I mean, this is exactly right out of the Marxist playbook.
100%.
I mean, it's exactly what they're doing.
This is communism. This is absolute communism, and that's no different than in Mountain. I don't even know what that gentleman said, Mr. Coffey. I don't even know what he said. But he has the right to speak. He's an elected official who lives in Canada, where we have the right to speak, right?
Yeah.
That's protected under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That
Yeah.
is actually one of our fundamental rights. And he was voted in because of his values and his opinions. And that's
Yeah.
why he was in his place to begin with. So when he shares his values and his opinions, those are his. That's not the board's.
Yeah.
And it's his job to convince the board to be on his view. And otherwise, the rest of the board members, likewise, have to try to convince them or convince Mr. Coffey to change his view. Then they vote, and the majority wins. So Mr. Coffey's opinion, whatever that is, like I said, I haven't even heard his opinion, but it is his opinion, and it is his job to share his opinion.
Mr. Coffee, by the way, it's not a coffee maker. Mr. Coffee, I hear that. Pour me a cup. Paul Coffey is his name, not the hockey player. He is a school trustee in the Mountain View School District in Manitoba, and he's going to be joining the show on Wednesday night from a planned vacation. I think he's Jamaica or in Mexico or something. He said, this was planned, Shadoe, but I do want to come on with you. So he's taking the time to join the show on Wednesday night because he believes, and I believe, that what he has to say is important and people need to hear it. And so far, the left-wing corporate media has only given the other side of the story without talking to Mr. Coffey about anything. And I would say to him, and I told him in an email, do not speak to the left-wing corporate media. They will only make a bad situation worse.
100%. Yeah, I'm sure he knows that advice, but it's good to reiterate that because absolutely, I would never speak to that other side. And they twist everything. So, I mean, you want to see what's happening there. Like, I haven't heard, I don't know anybody there, but when you're watching that, there's a superintendent there who spoke, who actually put on a letter. If you look on his website, on the website there, I don't know. See, superintendents are supposed to work on behalf of the board. So
Yeah.
I would, this is purely speculation, but I'm pretty sure that board never told that superintendent to speak. So that superintendent writing that letter, I would be really surprised if he or she, I don't even know who it is, wouldn't get a little bit of a rap on the knuckles because they weren't supposed to send.
It's the playbook. It's the Marxist playbook. And you know all of these little rules and regulations are being overlooked by them. It's okay for them to do it, but not for us. Christine, I know you have been looking for help for the past year, maybe even 2 years, in order to get this message out and maybe get more and more people working towards this cause. How can people reach you? How can people get a hold of you? How can they contact you and say, what can I do to help?
Well, people have been finding me on Facebook just with my name, but Concerned Citizens Canada at protonmail.com. And we just post stuff on Instagram and Facebook and stuff of people like us, maybe even like Raylan stuff. There's my stuff. And just other people straight across the country, actually straight across the globe, we put stuff on there that kind of relate to what we're doing. I don't know. It's quite the show to see what's happening here. Like, I don't know, Shadoe, the unions, the associations, the MSBA, you were asking about the bureaucratic situations. The trustees they're part of the membership under MSBA, Manitoba School Boards Association.
Mm-hmm.
So they put in their 2 cents, and then they said, oh, well, we can't speak on that. But they put in their 2 cents to the chairs, and everybody's been indoctrinated, and they believe that they actually have to follow that opinion. But people like Hanover, because there's more people on that board that are right-winged and can think for themselves and think outside of
Common sense.
You can see that that's why they're going to be picked on right now. And that's the same with, I think there's some more common sense over at Mountain View as well.
I hope so.
There's trustees everywhere in the province, and they need people to back them up. So write your trustees, write your MLAs, write your MPs, your own counselors. You guys, your school board taxes.
Get a hold of Christine, and she will point you in the right direction. Okay, we got to get going, Christine. Thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you for taking the time. And please tell Raylan that we're going to have her on soon. I have to send invites to that entire school board that she addressed last year, just so that they can decline or not get back to me. And then when I have Raylan on, I can say, hey, by the way, all those people, they didn't want to come on because they're embarrassed and ashamed. Have a great night.
Do that, Shadoe, because
I will.
Success.
That is the plan. Christine, thank you. We'll talk to you
Thanks,
again soon.
Shadoe.
All right.
Great to
Bye-bye.
see you.
Yeah,
Bye.
there is Christine Ronseray, former school trustee who was sanctioned, censured. But she is working hard to keep these books away from children as young as 5 or 6 years old in public schools and public libraries. Keep these books away from these kids. I mean, we have, I've repeatedly put these books on this show and read from them a couple of times. It pains me to do it, but I have, only because I want you guys to hear exactly how bad this is. And it's all part of it, right? And so somebody was asking me last week, again, what can I do, Shadoe? What can I do? And it's a difficult question to answer because I don't know what this particular person's interests are. Well, let's see. Are you hating the climate change thing, or are you hating the trans thing, or are you hating the 15-minute city thing? Like, what is your number one? And so then they'll say, well, it's climate change. You say, okay, here's what you do. You go ahead and write. Now, this is the thing. We've got an NDP liberal coalition federal government in this country, right? This government staying in power is contingent upon the support of the NDP. So if we got a massive, massive email or letter writing campaign going on to each one of the 25 NDP MPs to tell them that there is no climate change, or prove what you're saying. Prove what you're saying. Why would you vote for this budget? Whatever. And put pressure on that caucus, to put pressure on their leader, Jagmeet Singh, to make sure that he votes against the budget or comes to the understanding that this carbon tax has got to go because it's all a bunch of BS. Then they'll do it. Because ultimately, the politicians understand, especially with elections looming, that we're the ones who control the show, not them. Now, having said that, what I can guarantee you is the average politician, MLA, MP, MPP, it doesn't matter, doesn't get much mail from the public. And when they do, it's always from the same 7 or 8 people. And so they open it, they register it, they may read it, they may not. I doubt they do. Because it's always the same thing from the same people all the time. And then they just cruise through their job like, all right, I can do whatever I want, going out for a steak and surf and turf tonight. But if they started receiving hundreds or even thousands of emails from disgruntled Canadians, you can bet they would be thinking twice before they do something stupid. It would force them to look at the issue that we are talking about. So pick one of the many different tentacles of the octopus here, of the globalist octopus, and make that your new life's work. I try to cover as much of it as I possibly can on this show, but it's difficult to do it all, even with a 2-hour show weeknights. And by the way, I have moved the show now, you guys. So there is no, at least for the summer anyway, may move it back when the winter comes, if we're not all in gulags at that point. We're going Sunday to Thursday now, not Monday to Friday, but Sunday to Thursday. So last night we did a show on shadowdavis.com for all access members, and that's the way Sunday night shows will remain. It will only be for all access members on shadowdavis.com. But then we are still good to go from 8 until 9 Central Time, weeknights, Monday to Thursday. So that's how the show is going to roll out for the next few months. This from left-wing corporate CTV. Jagmeet Singh still not ready to say. This story comes from this afternoon, by the way. He's not ready to say if the NDP will back the budget. They're holding out for clarity on the disability benefit. So he doesn't care that they want to raise the capital gains taxes from 50 to 67.5% and screw all of the people over who incorporated their businesses in order to save for their retirements and take even more money from them than they already would have. He doesn't care about that. And Justin Trudeau calling that fair. Well, we're asking, when Trudeau says, we're asking for people, the very rich, this budget will only affect 0.0037% of Canadians, the very rich, if you make $250,000 or more. I don't know that that's very rich, especially with interest rates and inflation these days. I mean, you make $100,000 these days, and it's not like it used to be, I'll tell you that. But anyway, what we've got in this budget, with Justin Trudeau calling it fair, we're asking for the more fortunate people in Canada to give back some so we can help the younger people. So what does that sound like to you? The way they're explaining it, fairness, it's not fairness at all. It is communism. We're going to take whatever you make and we're going to give it to this guy over here for doing nothing. And then he'll have it. And even though you've worked, scraped, toiled, bled, sweated, cried, everything that you've done for the past 30 or 40 years, all the work that you've put in, never mind any of that. It's going to little Billy over here who plays video games 12 hours a day and then goes out to buy a bag of weed at the legalized weed store just before it closes at 11 o'clock. Because that's fair. That's what Trudeau's saying. And Jagmeet Singh is saying, well, he's not ready to support this budget based upon the disability benefit program. He spoke to reporters on Parliament Hill this afternoon as MPs resumed debate on the 2024 financial plan. Singh said that, well, his caucus fought hard to ensure the budget included relief for Canadians, such as new renter protections, a national school food program, and diabetes and contraception coverage. This is all NDP stuff. This is not Trudeau stuff, even though he's trying to take credit for it. The government didn't go far enough in other areas. Specifically, Singh said he's raised concerns with Trudeau, whom he has an ongoing confidence and supply arrangement with that's meant to prop the Liberals up on confidence votes like the budget in exchange for policy progress. About two elements of the budget were not adequate. One has to do with Indigenous rights and Jordan's principle not being adhered to, and the other is what many disability advocates have panned as a paltry amount of monthly funding promised for the new Canada Disability Benefit and related fears about the potential for cross-jurisdictional clawbacks. Well, and we don't even know when the vote is going to be. It's just going to happen. Like they're debating it right now in the House of Commons. The budget is being debated. We know already that the Greens have said we're not going to support this budget. The Bloc has said we're not going to support this budget. Obviously, the Conservatives are not going to support this budget. Now it's all about the NDP. So you put the NDP together with the Liberals and you're talking about 180 votes, which is more than enough to pass this budget. However, if there is some kind of a fissure that happens in the NDP caucus, let's just say some NDP say, you know what, I'm not voting for this. I can't do it. Let's say 10 of them or 11 of them of the 24, 25. I think they've got about 25. Let's say half of them don't vote for it. Then we've got a confidence vote because budget votes are automatically confidence votes. So again, we don't know when the vote's going to be. It's just going to happen once debate is over, and the Liberals can say, all right, that's enough debate, boom, let's vote. And they do it. But they won't do that until they know for sure that Singh is going to support them. So this is going to go on and on and on for quite some time. So what is the federal reaction to this budget anyway? What are people thinking? So Leger has done a poll on this that came out last week. From April 19th to April 21st, Leger surveyed Canadians to find out their opinions and perceptions on the 2024 Canadian federal budget. Some of the key highlights of the survey. For about half of Canadians, 49%, the budget tabled on Tuesday, April 16th, is perceived as negative. Data shows that 42% of Albertans even say that it is very negative. Among the initiatives presented in the budget, two appear to be good in the eyes of a majority of Canadians. The first one is an investment of $8.5 billion in housing to build 4 million new homes over the next 6 years. We've done the math on that one, by the way. We did it last week, I think, and it works out to something like 37,000 houses an hour they have to build. And that's if they started last week. Now I'm sure that number has climbed. Well, of course it's climbed. That's math, right? They've lost a few days now. It's ridiculous. 3.9 million new housing units in Canada by 2031. This initiative rises to 72% in Quebec. The second one is a $900 million increase for greener homes and energy efficiency programs, 64%. However, that drops to 51% in Alberta. Within a 5-year outlook, almost half of Canadians, 47%, think the government should cut back on spending and make different cuts in programs to come back to a balanced budget as quickly as possible. Now, that doesn't mean that 53% are in favor of spend, 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 spend. Those 53% are divided over different things. But these are the vast plurality of feelings of Canadians. In other words, Trudeau's budget sucks. The Angus Reid Institute also did something on this. Generational fairness? Fairness? We want to make this fair for young people. Never mind, you've been working all your life to save this money. I've just covered that. 7 in 10 Gen Z, millennials as well, say Trudeau's government is not working in their interest. From Friday, as the federal government looks to address generation fairness in its most recent budget, new data from the nonprofit Angus Reid Institute finds most Canadians doubting it's working for any generation at all. In the second part of a post-budget scan of Canadian public opinion, 7 in 10 Canadians, 70% of all generations say they don't believe the federal government under Trudeau is working in the best interest of their age group. Vast majorities of Gen Z adults, 18 to 24 years, and millennials, 25 to 44, also express doubt the Liberals have their best interest at heart, despite a volley of measures in the recent budget aimed at some of their top issues. Canadians' top issues vary by generation, but have been consistent for several years. Healthcare affordability rating is high concern since the end of the pandemic response. On the latter, there's been some abatement. 51% of Canadians believe cost of living to be a top issue, an 11-point drop from last year. Both healthcare and affordability have been policy focused for the federal government in recent years. Still, when it comes to both issues, Canadians are more likely to say someone other than Trudeau is best to lead. On healthcare, 28% of Canadians say Pierre Poilievre is the best choice, to 14% for Trudeau, 22% for Jagmeet Singh, none of the above at 22% as well, not sure at 14%. On housing affordability, Poilievre leads again, 31%, Trudeau, 13%. He trails none of the above at 24%, Singh's at 19%, and not sure is at 13%. And Poilievre also outpaces Singh and Trudeau combined when it comes to issues of the economy and handling the deficit. Gen Z adults are more likely to say Poilievre, Singh, and none of the above are the best choice for Prime Minister other than Trudeau, while millennials believe Poilievre is the best choice at a plurality level. And here's all the numbers. Trudeau sucks. I mean, and you want to know what this guy actually had the nerve to tell his caucus? Just today. This news just came out today. He said, don't worry about it. This is all of the Liberal MPs who are worried about their re-election in the next election, right? Like, they're panicked right now. They're seeing the polls the way they've been for the past year. It's terrible for them. Awful. They're going to lose their seat. They might not get a pension. It's brutal. What am I going to do? Right? Well, you've got a year and a half to send your resumes out, gang. But Trudeau actually had the nerve to tell them today, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Just leave it in my hands. Do you think even the Liberal caucus is buying that dreck right now? I would say probably not. That's a guess. That is only my personal opinion, but I think probably not, unless they happen to be Trudeau insiders in the cabinet. And there's only about 40 of them. The other 120, they don't think. And the other thing, which I find amusing, you know the LeBlanc family, right? Like Romeo LeBlanc was the Governor General, very big Liberal, buddies with Pierre Trudeau, Elliott Trudeau for years and years and years. Well, Dominique LeBlanc who is now a minister in the Trudeau cabinet, has apparently been kind of scheming behind Trudeau's back for a leadership run. This is what we're hearing. Dominic LeBlanc used to babysit Justin Trudeau because he's like 3 or 4 years older when they were kids. And now this is how politics works, man. They've known each other for like 40 years, these two guys. They're thick as thieves. And now LeBlanc is planning a coup d'etat to take out Justin Trudeau, even though he won't publicly comment on it. That is the open secret that's going on in the Ottawa bubble right now. That LeBlanc is planning or trying to plan a coup d'etat to save the Liberal Party from itself. That party is falling apart right now. Regardless of what you may see online, regardless of what you may see on left-wing corporate media, how they all stand together, regardless of what you see when you see House of Commons banter going back and forth between Trudeau and Poilievre, and all of the Liberal MPs standing there going, regardless of all of that, don't believe any of that stuff. It's just a public front. These Liberal MPs are pissed, and they want Trudeau gone. It wouldn't surprise, just to save their own skin. It's not going to work. I mean, no matter who they pick to be the leader, Mark Carney, Chrystia Freeland, it doesn't matter. Whoever they pick to be the leader of this train wreck is going to lose just as bad as Trudeau did, probably worse because they haven't got the name recognition to fall back on. Even though that name recognition, that brand is very tarnished in 2024. Sunny ways. Sunny ways. And look at what this idiot did. He is a lame duck prime minister, right? He shouldn't be doing anything else to destroy this country. But what does he do? Here's the story from last week. They were all very, very happy to announce, all these Liberals. Honda is set to build an electric vehicle plant next to its Alliston, Ontario assembly plant, which is it's retooling to produce fully electric vehicles as part of a $15 billion project to create a supply chain in the province for the Japanese automaker. The plan, which includes up to $5 billion tax dollars, they say public funds here on bnnbloomberg.ca. Never mind public funds. Left-wing corporate media, all media needs to stop using that expression and start using tax dollars. Canadians' money, not public funds, not government money. This is tax dollars. $5 billion of our dollars is going into this fully electric car plant that Honda is building. It's expected to see the two main plants create 1,000 jobs on top of retaining the existing 4,200 jobs at the assembly plant. The plant is set to produce up to 240,000 vehicles per year when fully optional in 2028. Now, here's the problem with building all of these electric cars. Nobody wants them. Nobody is buying them. Because if you want to talk about train wrecks, that's what these things are. Aside from the fact they're too expensive, they take too long to charge, there's no place to charge them, even in the wokest cities. And you can't fix them on your own. You can't take them to a mechanic. You have to take them back to the dealership that you bought it from in order to fix an electric car. Because the mechanics who work on regular combustion engines don't know how to do it. There may be some who are getting certified in this stuff, but not that many. Nobody this is the other problem too, is that nobody believes this is becoming a reality, but the Liberal government is trying to make it one. And so they spend $5 billion of our tax dollars, give it to Honda, one of the most successful companies in the world, by the way, so they can come to Canada and build a new plant to make electric autos only. What happens when the plant doesn't get built? And it won't, because demand for the electric vehicles is not there. That's another billion boondoggle. And there he is making decisions knowing that he will not be in power in 1 year from now, or less, or more. But definitely not past October of 2025. All right, guys, there is more to come on the extension on shadowdavis.com. So if you're an all-access member, stay with me for the next couple of minutes, and we'll definitely get to that stuff, including a fantastic speech that was made in Europe by Eva van der Klokenix. I can never say her last name properly. Oh, and by the way, I have been trying to get her on for the last year, and I am going to have some good news for you. Hopefully, fingers crossed, on that front in the next couple of days. All kinds of other great stuff, including more on that military exercise coming to Goderich, Ontario, May 5th through 7th. It's expanded now to other communities in the area. So the extension begins, excuse me, the extension begins on shadowdavis.com in a couple of minutes. For those of you not joining, I'll catch you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central, for another Shadow at Night live stream. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I'll see you soon. All access, I'll see you in 2 minutes' time.